Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and I am at the Texas FFA Convention in Houston, Texas. And today my guest is Andrew Johnson. Hey, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me on.
All right, so, man, excited to have you here. We've been covering the conference now for 3 years in a row. What brings you to the conference today?
So it's my first time back in 10 years. Houston's my hometown. The last convention I was at, I was working for the foundation as a ambassador program coordinator in 2014 and 2013. So it's been a good decade.
Yeah. So tell me your story. How did you originally get introduced to FFA?
I originally got into FFA through my dad. He was a former state president and former national president, Torres and Johnson, back in the 70s. And so when I was a sophomore in high school, one of my friends that was in a biology class as a freshman was in FFA, and so she kind of piqued my interest, and I knew my dad had been active in it through basically his entire adult life. And so I kind of just approached him, asked him kind of what the deal was. He introduced me to the ag teacher, and I came from pretty much the one chapter that I'm aware of in the entire country where there are 5 high schools that are pooled to one FFA chapter. It's been around since 1950. It's on 18 acres in the middle of urban Houston, with just neighborhoods and businesses around it. So it's just a little piece of rural paradise right in the middle of Houston. So got involved that way. And then because my dad and Aaron are so well connected and tight and have worked together for 20 years, that's kind of what got me into the ambassador program. And
how do you feel FFA has helped prepare you in life? Like, how do you feel it's enriched you?
Initially, I just got in because I was interested in the animals. I did raise livestock with pigs and a scramble steer for Houston Livestock Show Radio. I grew up going to the rodeo pretty much every year. It's a big thing around here in March. And really the one big thing that I got out of it that I wasn't expecting to initially was all of just the leadership training, talking to people face to face, like learning how to actually be an adult and work in business and develop relationships.
It's different to start that at such a young age. I would argue most people that don't go through something like a Texas FFA, they don't really even start to get that experience till after college.
Right.
Like everything before college has nothing to do with that. When I think about like some of the programming things that people are doing here, especially some people that have that gap year, they're going to all the chapters, they're doing all these speeches and all this. And I'm like, that was like in my mid-20s, maybe I started to do that. Or if you think about, depending on how high up somebody goes in FFA, that if they're in front of a board doing like, being interviewed, like I'm like, that's like something a CEO or a C-level individual gets that happens in their life in their like 40s. But that's happening at such a young age. It's absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because a lot of people, when you think about high schoolers in Texas, your brain immediately goes to football and athletics.
Yeah,
that's what
mine did.
A lot of teachers, they try to get their kid, and parents try to get their kids into athletics to teach them accountability, teamwork, leadership, all of the things that FFA provides. But athletics doesn't really do that in a professional environment.
For sure.
So that way when those kids are actually going into the real world, they have actual practical experience applying those things and applying those lessons. If you're on a baseball diamond or a gridiron, you're not necessarily getting that.
Yeah, you might get some discipline, you might get some scheduling, you're obviously getting the physical side of things, but you're not doing parliament. Or, I don't know. Is Texas have in their football parliamentary procedure or like?
No, don't think so.
You sure that isn't for?
At least not back in my baseball days. We didn't.
I'll take it. What keeps you coming back, man? Like a lot of things you could be doing, a lot of like interests. Like what keeps you coming back to convention?
So, I mean, obviously take this with a grain of salt. It's been 10 years since I've been back, but it's just the ability to give back and pay it forward and kind of use some of my life experience just to be able to kind of give some of these kids that are trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do with their life, give them just some advice coming from somebody who's kind of late 20s, early 30s, just kind of getting into the beginning of the professional grind versus some of the trainers that they're used to hearing from.
Yeah.
Like Aaron, who have been in business for 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
And,
Yep.
Just kind of giving
All the old dogs. You got,
like,
oh, sorry, Aaron. No.
like an early career perspective versus a seasoned veteran perspective.
For sure. And it's important because that's realistically the next stage of some of their lives. So that's what's next. Yeah. What so looking at this all, what's been is your first year back? So I want to commemorate this because I know whether it's next year or in the future years, you're gonna be coming back. I already know. It's got that magnetism.
Rotation now, so at least every 4 years or so.
It's got that magnetism. Yeah. So I want to commemorate this one as a welcome back. What's been your favorite part this year so far? What's been your favorite part, like memorable, just a memorable moment?
Just getting to be back in the ambassador room with all the kids. They all work so hard. They're so knowledgeable.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Just the leadership potential in that room. I know those kids are going to go so far just because I went through the program.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a lot of just information overload.
Yeah.
And they may not necessarily get all of it, but I'm hoping when I go up and talk to them in another 10, 15 minutes that I'll be able to kind of keep it succinct, keep it memorable. I'm talking about life and leadership lessons coming from Ted Lasso. So kind of keeping that positivity, talking about vulnerability, empathy, and how much of an asset it is to being a leader and building a team and keeping a team together, keeping it tight-knit. So that way everybody can work together towards common goals.
It's amazing. Yeah, one of the things is every time I come back year after year, I'm just inspired. These stories that I hear, I just heard one before we started this interview. One of the ambassadors, she was telling me about how their hotel didn't have power. And I'm like, well, what did you do? And they're like, well, we've been staying there with this, that. And she's like, well, it's kind of like we're camping. And then we just had to, then we just glamping going on. Then it was so hot that we finally had to go home. So they drove an hour, 40 minutes home. And then she was so excited that they got to drive back this morning. And they missed some of the beginning, but they're still here and they're happy about it. And the difference between that, when I think about like myself, I'm picking on me. I'm like, my coffee was a little cold as well. I'm like, come on, Adam, like muscle, like the resiliency and like, and to see her, when she was telling this story,
I don't know if that's just an FFA thing or if it's a youth thing, because I don't know that I'm necessarily as resilient now in my 30s as I was, in
when you're in the
20s.
When you were in the energy here, though, for sure you were. It would have been an adventure.
I mean, I think that's part of coming back to convention, like being around the kids brings such a youthful energy that's
why I come back.
Even if you're, no matter how much how old of a has-been you are, you can still come back and have fun and have hope for the next generation coming through after us.
Amazing. Well, final question, Andrew. So what's going next with you? Just on your business side, personal, whatever. Like, what's next on the horizon for you?
Headed back to work. I've been working with the Astros over in sports and entertainment hospitality for the last 2 years. So immediately after this, I got work. But
how fun is that? How fun is that working with the team?
It's great. I'm a huge baseball nut, so
and you said you played, yeah? So
I did. Kind of when everybody else hit their growth spurts in, 7th, 8th grade, and I didn't. That's kind of when I dropped off in Little League.
Yeah.
But just being around the game, it was really my first love, and so being in the ballpark every day for every home game, including all of the postseason runs.
Oh, that's
my
amazing.
First season there. We went all the way to the World Series and won it all. I got to be there for the clincher at Game 6. Just
what?
Unbelievable bucket list moment. Yeah, so
what a blessing.
That's been really fun. This year, the Astros have kind of been down, but they've started to piece it back together the last month or so. So it's starting to pick up. Attendance is picking up. Things are getting excited. I think we might make another postseason run, but we'll see. But other than that, thinking about going back to get my master's in food science just because I really like being in the restaurant industry, being in hospitality, and just the creativity of the culinary experience in the ballpark and constantly, coming up with new things. And just kind of keeping everybody's taste buds kind of on their toes.
Well, now I know
my metaphors there.
Well, now I know who I'm getting my tickets from, but I know you got to go. I know you got to.
much pull. I do not have that much pull.
I had to try, everyone. No, so I know you got to go do the keynote, so I'll do the sign off for everybody that's watching and listening. Hey, I hope you had a lot of fun. We're going to have more coverage coming from the Houston, Texas FFA conference. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet or the follow button, do it. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new interviews, new vision, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Andrew, hey, good luck on the keynote, man. Really appreciate it coming on.
Good to meet you, man.